Mark Carney touting Canada's economy. Let's listen in. It's hard to tell, what speech he's on, because sometimes he's talking about the enemy and how, we got to tighten our bootstraps. And here's the touting. Let's listen in.
In the past 3 months, the Canadian economy has created a total of 181,000 jobs. The national unemployment rate has fallen from 7.1% to 6.5%, and crucially, average wages for Canadians have grown faster than inflation every month of this year. That's encouraging, but the headwinds are strong, and we are just getting started.
Well, let's have a look under the hood at those numbers that he's touting there. September did see a huge jump, 106,000 in full-time jobs and a loss of 46,000 in part-time. And, you have to ask yourself, can you put up that next slide there? But a lot of that had to do with back to school, teachers going back to school. And they hired a lot more teachers. That had a lot to do with that September number. But then October and November, extremely weak. Losses in full-time jobs and gains are all in the part-time jobs. So that's the real gains. If you look at that over the 3 months, the gains are part-time jobs, and those are lower-paying jobs with no benefits, and that is not the sign of a healthy economy. And then we played yesterday the clip from on Bloomberg there, where they talked about the numbers don't even make sense, because when we added 85,000 jobs last month, we had a 1% drop in unemployment, and then this month we had a 63,000 add to the jobs, or 54,000 in total, and we ended up with a 4-point drop in unemployment. If you're doing math as just even a basic equation, you'd have to ask yourself, what's that? Right? Do you know what I mean? You have to say, because in October, 63,000, they can net 63,000 jobs, well, mostly part-time, 63,000 jobs, and you have a 1-point drop in unemployment. And in a $54,000 net, 54,000 job net, and mostly part-time, you had a 4-point drop in unemployment. Huh?
Yeah. I would also, just to sort of pop Mark Carney's balloon there, I would also quote the Bank of Canada, which released its interest rate this morning. When they do that, they also have a few paragraphs where they review Canada's economy and the world economy. And they say here, Canada's economy grew by a surprisingly strong 2.6% in the third quarter. It didn't grow by 2.6%. Divide that by 4. That's what it really grew by. Yeah. Even as final domestic demand was flat. And it says, the increase in GDP largely reflected volatility in trade. So in other words, we're stagnant, basically, if you read between the lines. It's not exactly like a great sort of boisterous growing economy. It's to do with the volatility in trade caused by American tariffs. And then they also go on to say, job markets in trade-sensitive sectors remain weak and economy-wide hiring intentions continue to be subdued. This is bad. This is not good news. Just read the Bank of Canada. Whatever you think of the Bank of Canada, if you want a more honest idea of what's going on in the economy, read that. Don't listen to a partisan like Mark Carney. I mean, he's there bragging about 6.5% unemployment.
Yeah.
That's
a bad number.
Who brags about that?
Number. It's a bad, but the numbers don't even work. The numbers don't make sense. And then this is a poll that was done by Angus Reid. Merry Christmas. We did that. What is it, 2 days ago? We did that. The feds, the bureaucrats, budget time in Ottawa, or bonus time in Ottawa, 90 to 100% on them get their bonuses, and they get nice big fat bonuses on top of their nice big fat checks. We talked about that. They were, I think, and we don't get these numbers till later. $85,000 was the average bonus in the Canadian Infrastructure Bank. Nice big fat bonus on top of those big fat checks already. There was one lady that works for the CRA that wasn't even going to work on her $177,000 salary, and they denied her bonus, and then she fought for it, and they coughed it up anyway. Why not? Why not? But anyway, not so merry for a lot of Canadians. Canadians feeling the most financial pressure anticipate little relief next year. Majority of lower income households say it's difficult to put food on the table, and thus food costs are projected to go higher in Canada. The cost of living continues to dominate the minds of Canadians as we head into 2026, and that's according to a poll from the Angus Reid. The pollsters found 59% of respondents put cost of living at the top of their worries, followed by healthcare, housing, and the economy. Climate change wasn't there. Take a look at this. Where's climate change?
It is there, just around next to immigration there, but very far. People don't care, obviously,
but
very low.
Look at the number, like cost of living, 59%. I mean, that is, we've said this over and over and over again. Kitchen table stuff. It's about the kitchen table. And healthcare. Millions of Canadians can get access to a family doctor. They brag about, and they're even bragging to get more immigrants here, saying you get free healthcare. Is it free if you can't access it? What good is free healthcare if you can't access it?
Well, we're gonna have a clip. If you stay tuned, we're gonna have a clip from Elizabeth May talking about how great the health system is as her hip squeaks because they screwed up, but she's still happy.
The Mark Carney's bragging about the economy. Francois Philippe Champagne is always bragging about Canadians ask us for everything and we give them the biggest tax cut ever. Well, for these Canadians at the lowest end of the rung, it turns out that's $11 for the year. That's what they're going to get, $11, and that'll likely get you a nice coffee at Starbucks with some sprinkles on top, and maybe a little.
Don't know if it would even get you that.
Caramel
especially when
drizzle.
You need a tip after.
Yeah.
You need $20 for that these days.
$11, and they bragged that it was $800 for families, and then the PBO put it out there and it said it worked out about $268. Again, more touts that have been debunked by the PBO's office. And this is from the Economic Long Wave. I've interviewed him in the past, and he says that Canada does not look good. He warns that the private debt hit 175% of GDP, and that's in the U.S. in 2008. Now look at Canada. The U.S. peaks were 154, 173, and 150. Japan in 1991 had 213%, and it never recovered. It's still trying to recover. But in Canada, 2020 to 25, we're at 216 and 245. Higher than the U.S. in 1929 and 2008, and Japan in 1990.
We've talked about this before, but I mean, we have. I can't remember the last time I heard this in like a mainstream political, media broadcast or whatever. Can you remember the last time the personal debt came up? It's literally like unfathomably bad. It's catastrophically bad, and it has been for ages. This isn't particularly new. Canadian household debt is infamous around the world. It's one of the worst on the planet, alongside exceedingly high national debt as well and provincial debt. I mean, this country is drowning in debt, which is why I found it so strange that the Liberal Party, when all the attention was on the budget, the Liberal Party kept talking about how great Canada's fiscal position was and how we have less debt compared to other G7 countries. No, that's completely wrong. Canada's debt crisis, which is what it probably should be known as, is a very big deal. I can't believe that it's been swept under the rug, and this is just one of it. So
I've interviewed the guy from the Economic Long Wave, and we talked about the economic winter that is coming for Canada. And what do you do when there's an economic winter? You have a couple of choices. You can move south like Mark Carney moved Brookfield. You move it into sunnier climates, or you can get yourself a jacket. And what does a jacket consist of? Gold, silver, Bitcoin, alternative assets, U.S. assets. And what have we seen with the capital outflows out of Canada? Yeah, that's what they're doing. So there is people that recognize there is an economic winter coming to Canada, and they're doing things about it. Yet, they keep telling the people that everything is great. Like if you listen to that last speech from Mark Carney, things are amazing. And we still don't have an answer on a pipeline. The most important thing ever. We don't have an answer. Let's go to the CBC and see if they have the debt on there, if they have this, if they're covering this story. Pull up the CBC almost every day on the show. And I'm sure we're going to have a lot of Liberal scandals later, too. And I'm sure they're going to be on here. So we're going to front run our own stories here, I think. I'm sure they'll be on here. Well, NHL says incomplete hockey ring. Okay. That's important, right? Brothers locked in a room. Alberta passes bill affecting transgender. Of course, that's important. Okay.
Something about a pro-Palestinian activist.
U.S. businesses claim Canada backdoor.
Robert Munch is going to release dozens of books after he dies.
I mean, I have to say,
That's like the biggest segment, isn't it? It's the biggest block on the whole website.
And one of the things, I was going to say no Trump stories, but then I looked down further, and there they are. There's Trump. There you go. So nothing. And you listen in, stay on here. We're the best undiscovered news commentary site on the internet on Canadian news. They won't cover
Some have said.
Some have said, including us. We've said
That's what we should do. We should do the Trump thing. Like, they're saying, many people are saying now that we're the best undiscovered news source.
I say that with confidence, and people have said it. And I'm wearing a snappy tie today. There you go. 2.5 debt ceiling prudent, according to the Liberals. A record hike in the national debt ceiling is a prudent attempt to cover ongoing deficits through the rest of the decade, the Department of Finance said yesterday. Imagine that. Cabinet proposes to raise the cap 20% to an unprecedented $2.54 trillion. There are always the possibilities of economic and financial changes. When the debt ceiling was established in 2024, the idea that this would continue for 3 years. So they're even moving it up more than they need, just in case, because we're going to talk about some stories later where they're talking about big budget items that were not in this budget that they outlined. So where's the money coming from? So
I love this stock image that Blacklocks have used.
Yeah,
just flames.
the Canadian dollar is what is fueling this fire here, I'm sure. Yeah. So economic storm, economic winter coming to Canada. You can go find that interview I did with about the economic storm coming, and we're going to do some more. But you're right, we did talk about the Bank of Canada a little bit, but the Bank of Canada held its rate. That's a second hold or pause, you can say, right? Because we paused in October as well after the cuts. We cut in March, we cut in April. Oh no, we paused in April, paused in June, paused in July, had a cut in September, had a cut in October, and paused again here. Or no, sorry, no cut in October. 2 pauses here. And
we don't just report the news. We live here too. We're your neighbors, bringing you stories that matter to all of us. No government funding, no outside influence. Kelowna Now, local, independent. News you can trust.